On November 12, 2019, Los Angeles police were called to a reported kidnapping in the Limat Park neighborhood. Although the kidnapper had already driven off with the victim by the time of their arrival, audio of the abduction was recorded by a resident's doorbell camera. As the neighbours watch on, the victim can be heard screaming for help. Despite comments suggesting that the woman was the kidnapping victim to Shira Boughton, she herself has denied this. At approximately 10:30 PM on August 17, 2017, 32-year-old Hop Nagayan was recorded driving on State Highway 161. The Vietnamese Texas resident has not been seen since. The same night he went missing, an unidentified individual was caught placing a piece of paper over his doorbell camera. To further conceal his identity, the figure approaches the door backwards, before it sounds like he enters the house. Because of the figure's calculated actions, some viewers contend that they have ties to organised crime. Whoever they are, Hop's family believe they likely abducted him. Shortly after 4 AM on October 21st, 2023, Hyattsville, Maryland police responded to a welfare check on Ardwick-Ardmore Road. Upon reaching the location, they discovered a half-naked body sprawled across the street. The victim was 28-year-old Franklin Mendez. At the time of his death, Mendez had just dropped his sister off for work when he was struck by a car. Despite his body being lodged in the windshield, the driver continued another 2 miles to the crime scene. There, he dumped Mendez's body beside the road. For the next few minutes, the driver took time for a smoke break before fleeing the area. While the driver remains unidentified, his car has been established to be an older model grey Honda Civic with a white decal across the top of the rear window. From January 29th to March 7th, 2023, an unidentified prowler dubbed the Night Stalker attempted to access multiple homes throughout the Melbourne suburbs. Clad in a mask and gloves, he appears to be a Caucasian male aged between 30 to 40. In one incident captured on a doorbell camera, the stalker broke into a home in Belpost Hill. While the owners and their 2 young children slept upstairs, he crept around the residence for 6 minutes before departing the premises. Disconcertingly, the stalker didn't steal anything, nor did he damage any property. This lack of a motivation has caused detectives to fear his behaviour may escalate into violence. Thankfully, however, the stalker hasn't been documented for more than a year, although his return remains an unnerving possibility. Around 5:36 AM on February 17, 2021, Halton Hills Fire Department received reports of a fire at the Ontario home of Christina and Andrew Rerick. After extinguishing the flames, firefighters located the bodies of the married couple. It would soon become clear that their deaths weren't the result of a tragic accident. The day following the house fire, police were informed of a suspicious individual caught on a neighbour's surveillance camera. As Christina pulls into the garage, a shadowy figure creeps in behind her. This individual was 30-year-old Harrison Brown, a worker at Christina's company. After she had chastised Brown for multiple workplace conflicts, he had placed a GPS tracker on her car. This allowed him to predict when Christina would arrive at home. From there, Brown waited in the darkness before following her inside the house. Once the garage doors closed, he stabbed both Christina and Andrew to death. To cover his tracks, Brown subsequently started the fire the next morning. Despite his efforts though, the surveillance footage ultimately exposed his guilt, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Described by his family as a kind but troubled man, 38-year-old Johnny Cashman was a depressive alcoholic. It was tragic but expected then when police discovered Johnny dead in his Virginia apartment. That morning, his family were told that he had died of natural causes. Days after Johnny was cremated, however, his mother and ex-partner discovered something that seriously challenged this claim. On April 29, 2021, the pair visited his apartment to retrieve some belongings. Smeared throughout the apartment was an abundance of blood and fecal matter. Outside, the pair were greeted by Johnny's neighbour. The neighbour disclosed that Johnny had recently been living with a drifter named Stephen Church. They also provided the two with doorbell camera footage, which may explain Johnny's demise. Shot on April 14th, the day he suddenly stopped contact with his mother, the footage depicts him stumble up the stairs toward his apartment. 1 minute later, either Johnny or Stephen can be heard pleading for the other to stop.
What the f***? What are you doing? Yo, what the f***, dude? What are you doing, man? What are you doing, man? Stop.
Once the voices end, Stephen exits the apartment, wiping the door handle on his way out. As he disappears out of sight, Johnny cries out for help. Regardless of whether the footage indicates that Stephen was directly responsible for Johnny's death, it's undeniable that he left him to die. In the early hours of April 26, 2023, Michael Fontenelle awoke to find that his youngest daughter and girlfriend were absent from his New Orleans home. Michael and Bunnick Landon had been together for at least 3 years, with 6-year-old Bella the child of his previous partner. After failing to locate the pair, he reported them missing at around 7:30 AM. Less than an hour later, Michael received the horrifying news. While scouring the neighbourhood for Bella, police had discovered a 10-gallon bucket on the front lawn of her mother's house. Inside were Bella's remains. Preliminary findings revealed the cause of death to be strangulation and blunt force trauma. Following this discovery, officers collected security videos from several neighbours. Out of all of them, the most unsettling shows Bunnick casually wheeling the bucket the one block to Bella's mother's house. Investigators believe that Bunnick waited until Bella's father was at work and then killed her sometime before 9:30 PM. Despite overwhelming evidence supporting this version of events, Bunnick has pleaded not guilty. Should she be convicted, she will serve a mandatory life sentence.